Hello everyone, in today's video I'm going to show you step-by-step process on how you can build your own Microsoft Sentinel home lab in Azure using the free Azure account. We'll deploy a virtual machine, expose it to the internet like a honeypot, and we'll let real attackers target that machine, and then once we collect enough attack logs, we'll then start analyzing these logs inside Microsoft Sentinel, just like a real SOC analyst. This hands-on project can be a really good addition to your cybersecurity resume if you're just getting started in cybersecurity or applying for a job, as it will show a real experience in detecting, analyzing, and responding to incidents in a SIEM environment. So to get started, you can go to azure.microsoft.com and you can try Azure for free. When you create your Azure account, you'll get a $200 US credit that you can use for other services. But since we need to create a virtual machine, we can't just stay in this free subscription and create a virtual machine. We have to switch to pay as you go, but still you can use that $200 credit on other services. To do that, you can upgrade. So when you click upgrade, I'm already upgraded. So basically you need to select the basic plan that will cost you $0 to get started. And then you can just upgrade it. So by default, one Azure subscription is created. What is a subscription? So basically subscription is a billing container in Azure. Everything you create inside that subscription, Azure will use that to track your uses and cost. So basically, if you see here, you can have multiple subscription under your tenant. And the reason you might want a multiple subscription is maybe you have your dev environment, your production, or there's different team requirements. So you want to track your billing and uses, and also apply policies at different subscription levels. So once you, because we have the subscription created by default and that's upgraded to pay as you go, the next step is we need to create a resource group. Resource group is basically a folder that keeps all your cloud related resources that you create inside that resource group. So for example, you can create your virtual machine, your VNet, your database. So basically all the workloads you can keep inside a resource group. Again, there could be multiple reasons you might want multiple resource groups, depending on permission sets and all. So maybe a different team require access to different resources. You might have a production dev environment separated by resource groups and all. So I won't go in detail, but let's just create a resource group. So you can search resource group in search bar or just go to the resource group and hit create. So I'll select my subscription, that is the Azure subscription 1, which was created by default. I'll name the resource group honeypot, and the reason is Australia Southeast for me, as I'm in Australia. The closest data center would be maybe Southeast for me. So I'll just hit next, no tags, next, and I'll just review and create. So basically a folder. Now I can create other resources inside this resource group. So I have this resource group created. The next thing I'm going to create is virtual net. So I'm going to search for virtual net. So I'll hit create and it asks me to select my subscription and resource group. I'll just leave it as default and I might name it as honeypot vnet. Next. And I won't enable firewall and I'll just leave everything as default. And the subnet, I'll leave it as default. And leave it as default, and I'll just hit review and create. Okay, it might take some couple of minutes, and after the validation runs, all good to go. So I'll just hit create. Again, this might take a couple of minutes. Okay, so next thing I'm gonna do is I'm now gonna create a virtual machine. So in the search bar, I can search for virtual machine, and I'll hit create a new virtual machine. And again, I need to select my resource group, which will be honeypot. I'll name it as remote workstation 01, something like that. And I'm going to select my region. I'll leave everything as default. all I need to select is the image now. So this will be a Windows 11 Pro, and then I'm gonna create my username, give it a strong password, and then I'll confirm the licensing, and I'll make sure everything is correct. Okay, so I just signed out and signed in back again just to refresh my session. Hope this works this time because I changed to pay as you go, and then I had my older session, so that could be a reason I wasn't able to create the virtual machine. I'll just hit create now. Okay, so it looks like we've resolved the issue. So if you're having the similar issue where it says you need to remove your spending limit, you won't be able to remove spending limit in pay as you go. You just need to sign out and sign back in so you get that refresh session. If you're still having any issue, please comment down and I'll see if I can help. Okay, so there was some issue with the earlier recording, so I had to re-record this part. Once the virtual machine is created, you go to the virtual machine, and under networking, network security settings, you will see a network security group attached to this virtual machine network interface, which when we created the virtual machine, we allowed port 3389 on that virtual machine to be accessed by any IP address. So the source was any and the port was also any. To make this virtual machine vulnerable, what we need to do is we need to modify this NSZ, delete that rule, and you just need to add this new rule that says basically we're allowing any source to connect to any port in this virtual machine. So the destination port range is any, and I'll give a priority as 100. So that means to lower the priority, higher this rule will be applied. Because there could be multiple conflicting network security group. At this moment, we just have one. So you can hit save, and you can now log into your virtual machine. So you can go to overview, get the public IP address, and do a RDP session. Put that IP address in, use your administrative account, and log into the virtual machine. So once you're logged into your virtual machine, go to Windows Defender Firewall, and I've already turned it off. So basically, you go to your Windows Firewall properties and disable all the domain profile, private profile, and public profile. So basically, this is a host-based firewall in Windows that will basically, is turned off at this moment. So the NSC will allow any traffic to pass through the to the VM, and we don't have any firewall protecting. So basically, all the traffic should hit. To just verify, I can run CMD and ping this machine. So that is 20, 21, 3, 215, and 18. As you can see, I can connect to this virtual machine. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is create log analytic workspace. So basically, we have a virtual machine exposed to the internet. Now we need to start collecting these logs and storing it somewhere. So Azure provides us a solution or service called log analytic workspace, where we can basically configure or point any log sources to start sending logs to this destination. And we can then configure Sentinel with that log analytic workspace, so we can read logs from that log analytic workspace. So to create log analytic workspace, I'll just search for log analytic workspace in Azure, and I'll just create a new one. By default, so the resource group is honeypot, and I'll name it as Sentinel logs. And I'll leave the region as Southeast for Australia, preview, and I'll just hit create after this validation completes. Okay, so the log analytic workspace is created. So this will be the database that will hold all the logs that's pointing to this analytic workspace. Next, we're going to create is Sentinel. So we'll go to Microsoft Sentinel. We'll create a new Microsoft Sentinel instance in this Azure account. And this is the workspace we have created for log analytics. So I'll select that. I'll create add. And that will add this workspace to Microsoft Sentinel. So it looks like it has been added. What I'll do is I'll go to Microsoft Sentinel. Oh no, it hasn't added. So I'll just try creating again. So okay, it has added. So I'll just got the notification. Okay, so the workspace has been added. Now I can select that workspace and all the Sentinel features are here. It will say Microsoft Sentinel free trial is activated until the 12th of 16. I'll just say okay, and we'll get up to 10 gigabyte per day are free, and then data B1 will be built. So I'll just hit okay. Now what we need to do is we need to connect that virtual machine to Microsoft Sentinel, and there are a lot of connection method. What we're going to use today is using the out-of-box connector. So we can use Windows event. Okay, so I'm supposed to actually install the connector first because you won't have any connectors available when we're just getting started. So we just need to go to Content Hub. I'll just refresh this. Sorry. Due to some reason, the connection dropped. So I'm connecting to my internet and I'll hit refresh. That should work. And Content Hub, and I can search for Windows security events and see what comes up. So this is out-of-box connector by Microsoft. I can use this connector to connect my virtual machine that we created inside Azure to this log analytic workspace, and we can use Sentinel to query on that log. So that's free connector. So I'll just install it. And it says there's two ways. So using legacy agent, and there's another way that is using the AMA. So that is Azure monitoring agent, and that is the recommended way. So once installed the connector, you can hit manage and basically use the AMA. So I'll click there and I'll select that. I'll open the connector page. And yeah, just follow through the configuration. So basically we need to create data collection rule. So data collection rule will say what events to collect from a particular resource. So everything we need to configure inside a data collection rule. So I'll just name it as Windows events. And that is the resource group. That is the correct subscription. I'll go to resource. So basically we select the virtual machine that we created in here, and that was the virtual machine. Next, collect. And I want all security logs. So I'll select all security events. You can specify collection rule to select specific logs. I'll just say all, and then I'll hit create. So that will basically create the data collection rule, and we should have the connector configured on our virtual machine, which we can verify in a second. So that has been associated. Now, if I go to my virtual machine, somewhere in the, so first of all, if I now go to data collection, okay, so in the settings, in the extension and application, you see the AMA agent has been installed. Maybe it's configuring. Let's leave that as it is. Now the status is transitioning, so it's doing its thing. If I go to data collection rule, so this was the one that we just created, and in here you can see the data sources and the resources, and the resources was that virtual machine. So it's doing that its thing. Hopefully it might take some minute for that to start forwarding Windows event to Sentinel, to this workspace, and we have connected this workspace in Sentinel, so we may be able to start querying for Windows event in our Sentinel. So I'll just go to Microsoft Sentinel here and select the Sentinel instance and go to logs. And we'll write some query. So basically, the way you can see or find what table that log is being written to, you can go to data connectors, and we configured using the AMA, and you'll see that will start writing in the security events table. So far there is no event, so but like later you can go to your logs and use that table. So I'll change this to KQL, and if I now search for security event, and just search for the last 24 hours. So okay, so we'll just leave it for a minute, so it configures and starts sending those logs. So while we wait, I've just logged into the virtual machine through RDP. And what I'll do is I'll just go to event viewer, because that's the security events we are forwarding to log analytic workspace and to Sentinel. And I'll go to Windows logs and security. And I'll see, if we are getting any hits from attackers. Okay. So it's been a few minutes, and I can see now the logs have started ingesting through the pipeline to Sentinel. And when I query for security event, I can see there's 68 logs. And I can see my user account trying to log into that machine. Okay. So next, to visualize the logon event in a workbook using a world map, basically we can render the events in a world map, plotting the IP address. But for that, we need a location information. And as you can see, Windows even does not provide geolocation. So basically, we need some way to do a lookup. So if we have a predefined list, we can easily look up in that table. But since we don't, I found a KQL that looks up in this database. So basically extract data from this database and then does a IPv4 lookup, passing the IP address from the security event. So for ease of this demonstration, I'll just use this KQL, but other ways you can achieve this is by downloading this database, storing it in our storage account, and creating a watch list. And we can also query on that watch list rather querying the this database or the Azure repository directly. So I'll just copy this KQL, and we are querying Windows event, security event, not because the Windows event is in this table. And I'll just remove all those unnecessary lines. So we can just do project to get list of columns in our table. And I want time generated. I want maybe computer. I want the target account. And I want the IP address. Then when the IP address is not empty, all the event does not have IP address. So usually in logon events, there will be IP address. Either you can filter by, let's say, event ID equals 4624 or event ID equals 4625. And then pass that here. So that should basically do a lookup and give us the required columns. So we have the computer, we have the target account, we have the IP address alongside with continent and also country. So once we have this information, now we can build a workbook to actually visualize this in a world map. So I'll just copy this query. I'll go to workbook. So Microsoft is migrating all the Sentinel resources to Defender. There's a huge migration planning going on, and sometimes you'll see like it says this is now available in Defender portal. Just refresh and that should go. So I'll just, so as you can see, what workbook is it enables you to get instant visualization and analysis of the data, blah, blah, blah. So I'll just add a workbook. I'll edit this one and I'll just remove everything here. And then I can add a query, add query, and I can paste it here. And after that, we can render a map, I believe. Or what we can instead do is we can visualize in a map, something like that. And let's run a query and see what happens, because we still need to configure it here. So I think what we can do actually is, instead of doing project, we can summarize the event count. So basically summarize count by target account, or just IP address, right? So, and let's just see failed event ID. So I'll just do like Windows event ID 4625. Now we just have one, yeah, so we'll just have a number, total number of failed events by IP address, and we'll get basically the country details of those information as well. So I'll just run a query again. And here on the latitude, I'll select, yeah, so basically I think oh, hold on. So we can do by country or region, and in the country, I'll select the country name. And I'll leave it everything as default. We can play around with this. Size by count, size by count, right? And some values. And if I hit apply, and you should be able to see now, since this is a failed logon event, that is incorrect. It says 2.08 M. I hope that is not a million. Count of values. Apply, and heat map should be green to red. So basically, lesser the count, that will be green, more that will be red. And the metric, it's not geoname ID, so maybe country name or count, right? So I'll hit apply. Now you see Australia has 6 failed logons. I'll hit apply, and I'll done editing, and I'll give it a name. So basically, I'll do edit, and you can play around with the map settings again if anything is missing. So you can do a region size, minimum, maximum value, and so on. I'll just leave it as default. And what I want to do actually is I want to hit done editing, edit, and I want to add a text field and do something like, so if I do double dash, it should be a heading 2, and I want to do failed Windows sign-ins, right? And done editing, and I want to move that all the way to the top. And I also want another query that gives me a table of the information that I want to see in a table form. So basically, what I'll do is I'll edit that. I'll copy the query. I'll put it here, and basically also give me in form of a table. So if I just run that query, it should just give me in form of table. And instead of summarize, I just want to do project, and give me time generated, give me computer name. It will not autofill here, so I have to type in the correct table name. For that, I can go to Sentinel logs, and I can build a query here. So I can do time generated, I can do it's, I think, computer, right? Computer target account name, and that's it. And give it the correct IP address field. Sorry, I need an IP address here, and that. So this is not a KQL tutorial, so I'll be bringing more tutorials on how to build queries and all. So this is just overview on how you can build your home lab, basically deploy a Sentinel instance, and visualize the traffic and all. But I'll be bringing more tutorials on how to write KQLs and all. So now we have the correct information coming. So I'll just copy this query and replace it here, and I'll run it, and it should give me in the table form as well. I'll hit done editing. So we have the information in table and also in the map form as well. So what we're going to do next is we will wait for a couple of hours for the attack traffic to come through, because we just deployed the virtual machine and we need some time for the attacker to find our open instance and start attacking. I'll save this workbook as failed logon or brute force, right? Anything. And in the resource group, honeypot in Southeast, I'll save it. Now this workbook has been saved, so we'll just wait for a couple of hours and we'll visualize how the attack has come through from various locations using this workbook. Okay, so it's been 15 minutes, and as you can see, we've received quite a number of, quite a volume of failed logons from Ukraine. And in the table below, as you can see, all these IP address is a Ukraine IP address, and they're trying to brute force using a lot of different user account. Yeah, so now we build a visualization as well, so you can visualize all the failed logons using this map. At the moment, it's just been 20 minutes and we've received only from Ukraine, but if you leave it for a couple of hours, you may see it coming from different places. And once you finish up with the lab, don't forget to delete all your resources. Otherwise, if you just keep it all live, it might cost you a lot. So because it's based on uses, so what you need to do is go to resource groups, and all the resources that we have created was under honeypot. As you can see, the log analytic workspace and everything is inside honeypot. So I'll just select that and I'll delete the resource group once I'm done with the lab. Thank you for watching this video. Do subscribe for more cybersecurity content.